Welcome to the table. You are now listening to the Real Table podcast with Michael Carter.
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Table podcast with your boy Michael Carter, and I'm excited to be back with another Mission Impossible rewatch episode. We're running it down up until the final reckoning, and I'm excited. And so today we're gonna get into the next one, but before we get into the next one, I gotta introduce my guest once again, who's able to be on here. I'm so excited that he's here. Isaiah Washington. Isaiah, what's up, bro?
It's great to be back for another mission, man. I'm excited. It's an honor to be back here, and I cannot wait till we get into this.
Yes, sir. And I see on video, if people are watching on video, I see that you're repping a Super Bowl hat. What's the Super Bowl hat? You're an Eagles guy, huh?
Yeah, of course. Recent Super Bowl from a few months ago. I am from Chester, Pennsylvania. And ironically, I haven't been an Eagles fan all my life. I was kind of tripping a little bit in my teenage years when it came to, for some stupid reason, I was repping the New York Giants. But
Ooh.
It really wasn't until when I was coming towards the end of my teen years into my early adult years where I was like, you know what? I need to convert. I need to go back home.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm from. This is my heritage. Right. Like, I got to go back. And pretty much ever since 2019, no, not 2019. So ever since 2021 to 2022, that range where I was just like, you know what? You got to do something. And I've been hard, strong ever since. Yeah, man. I love it.
Nice. Wait, so, I mean, the Giants had a couple Super Bowls.
They did.
Why convert?
It's really just keeping true to who I am, where I'm from.
Yeah, for sure.
There are some things that as you get older, you depart from your family, but there are some things that you keep true and you keep and stick with. Yeah. I love the team. I love the underdog factor that they had for years, that they still have. I love the fact that their fan base is exceptionally flawed, but you still find great loyalty to. And right now, we're kind of just in a great time. But even, of course, every dynasty has to come to an end. Even when inevitably years from now, when they start to not be at much of a hot streak, you still stay strong for them. You still do what you can. And yeah, I love it.
Dude, that's sweet. I love it. Yeah, I know a thing or two about loyalty. I don't know if you know this. I'm a Browns guy, so man. Look, man. Through the muck.
That's loyalty right there.
We've been through the muck, through the mud, but you know, I'm still holding out hope. I'm hoping they could be like the Eagles one day.
That is hanging on a very tight thread. I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm surprised. Like, that 25 years. How did y'all not get a divorce at this point,
dude? Look, you tell me, bro. I gotta stick true though. I'm from Cleveland.
No, of course, stay true, man.
Gotta stay true, even though it'll be all right.
It'll be okay.
All right. Isaiah, bro, you gotta talk to me. I was trying to get you on last week for the episode Sinners, but we couldn't make it happen. But you gotta give me your thoughts on Sinners, bro. You gotta tell me what you thought about the movie. It's still holding out strong at the box office for people who wondering, and for people who know, who are aware, Sinners is going strong at the box office. Isaiah, give me your thoughts on what is undoubtedly the biggest movie of 2025.
Yeah, I will definitely try to wrap this as much as I can within the time frame. But Sinners is nothing short but an incredible feat of filmmaking. Still to this day, I'm thinking about it. I think I am prepared to say that it is Ryan Coogler's best film. From a directorial perspective. Screenwriting wise, I do love Black Panther just a little bit more. Because with Sinners, the only thing that's stopping me from going in on that 10 out of 10 level. Like I would probably give it like a 9 out of 10. It's still a
Okay.
great film,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
only thing that kind of stops me from going on that level is because I do think the first half of the film, pacing wise, and it's not horrible. Like like the blocking, the direction, the performances, the layered writing, the character establishments, it's all
Sure.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But you kind of forget that the movie's a vampire film in the first half. Like there are times where like, okay, is this a gangster film? Is this a musical? Is this a historical epic? Like where we kind of go. It all works well, but I kind of was missing that vampire aspect that wasn't as consistent. But when the vampires hit, holy
Oh.
God, it hits. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
again, everything in the beginning in the first half, Coogler does such a great job establishing and just marinating into you giving a crap about these characters, whether it's Smoke and Slim. I mean, not Smoke with Slim, Smoke and Stack. Well portrayed by Michael B. Jordan, probably his best performance of his career, in my opinion, which is wild because I love him in Black Panther. Or when you look at Sammy, who's so well portrayed by an incredible debut performance by Miles Caton. Hope I pronounced his last name right. And just an exceptional cast ensemble, especially with Delroy Linto as Delta Slim, who offers not only great levity, but just what he does best in terms of a deeply layered character who's so three-dimensional and has so much to give and so much to offer. They're just a great, incredible force of words of wisdom.
Yeah.
I also just love what the film has to say thematically in terms of its layers and its intrigue of dialogue, whether it's depictions of the white savior complex or when it comes to the hardness of religious power, of one man's own faith and how he goes about it. It was actually interesting because I saw a post of yours and I was having a conversation. Of course, Kit. We've been doing this piece recently. And one of the biggest things that's been going on, and I've seen other people kind of respond to this who are also believers, is that they were talking about how they are kind of perplexed or think that there's a bit of a weird outrage culture of Christians responding to this film.
Sure.
From a religious perspective, calling it anti-Christian. You're not truly a Christian if you go watch this film. How could you support such a picture? And whether it was me, Kit, or just other people that I've also connected with on film Twitter, is that I think a lot of people are kind of missing the point of this movie. Like, I don't think the film is trying to say that it's anti-faith, but it's more of trying to establish the pros and cons when it comes to how religion has influenced this country, but also has negatively influenced this country.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Coogler does a lot of care and a lot of respect, in my opinion, being honest about how, like the tagline, we're all sinners, or just being honest about a man who is trying to find his own way in his life, falling short, succeeding. There's a specific, really the ending, like there's multiple endings to the film, but all of the endings I think work so incredibly well for Sammy's character arc, he's not the main character, but definitely an MVP, the heart of the picture. So I would say overall, Sinners, it is the best film I've seen of this year so far. And there is a certain scene, you probably heard of this scene so many times. I refuse to spoil it because you need to see it for yourself if you are comfortable watching this movie. That one take scene would lie to you. One of the best scenes I've seen for this decade so far.
Those are words, man. I literally, my brother, he used to go to movies a lot, but he has 2 kids now, and it's just sometimes it's just not doable to go as much as I think he would like. But he went tonight, and just before we got on, he texted me and he said, "Wow," he was like, he said this might be one of my favorite movies in a long time.
Wow.
And I just think that's just a testament to just the tweets we've been seeing and the reactions we've been seeing. Like, people are really just resonating with the themes, the storylines of this movie, and the way that they are able to, as they're watching it, as they're interpreting what this character is doing and what this mean. And it's just like, man, the value of art with this movie. Like, I got another buddy who I tried to get on last week too but we couldn't make it work. But to see his enthusiasm of this movie and just to see him so hyped about this movie, because I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm hyped, but I think he's on another world about how cool this movie is. Yeah, he's on another reality, and he just loves what this film is doing and the way that people are talking about it and the way it resonates with him and stuff like that. So I just think, man, it's just like hearing you talk and hearing you respond to this film and how you love it. And dude, this is, I said after I was driving home talking to my wife about it, I was like, this is why I at one point I wanted to make movies. I was like, this is why. I was like, it was the way it was made, from the writing, from the visual aspect, the characters, the tones, like the underlayers, like there's so much in it, but Coogler does a good job of making it make sense for that 2 hours and 12 minutes. So like, it's brilliant, bro. It's so good.
Oh, sure, man. Like, I think that is very powerful too, because we were having that conversation about with you and your wife in terms of like watching this movie and y'all's process with that. And I know, like, in terms of like me, I don't know about you, but like I also agree with your wife that horror is not really my thing in terms of like something I always get excited for, especially not compared to action, which we'll talk about later. But I really appreciate that people are giving this movie a chance, and B, even if you're not high on the film, they're willing to have the dialogue and they're willing to have the conversation to understand and engage with the culture.
Yes.
I think this is what we should continue to do if you are someone who's gifted. And I mean, I see someone like you, you're clearly gifted in this. And to apply who we are and to do what we do into this world and working our way through the culture and being able to understand about how is this impacting, how is this influencing, and all types of great ways to where it's helping people understand and trying to find themselves into this picture and seeing themselves into this picture. And even with a lot of some of the things that people are saying that are negative, especially when it comes to that loud minority group, like the religious pushback, I think that, of course, humbling yourself and taking time to go out of your own way to see where this is coming from, because this movie cannot be ignored. We talked about the box office. This movie is already the most successful original picture since Jordan Peele's Nope. That is an original film that's not based off of IP or sequel or remake, not an adaptation. This is an original picture that's killing the game, Call of Duty style. Dude. And I just think that it is something to take note of. And look, there are going to be other narratives, other pictures this year that will overshadow Sinners as far as like what is going to be the top dog. You already got Wicked, you got Jurassic World, you got Avatar Fire and Ash, which, holy God, I am not ready. I feel sorry for any person who has to work at the theaters when that comes out. But for now, it is nice to see the dialogue and the engagement that we are seeing people have when it comes to not only a movie, but the format, the IMAX, millimeter. I didn't see it in IMAX, but to see your average moviegoer actually involved, like how, like, no, this needs to be seen on the big screen. That gives me hope for the future of the theaters.
Dude, it gives me so much hope. And to think too, like I'm really curious now, like looking at Coogler, like I'm waiting to see, like, this dude needs to give him a blank check.
Yes.
Give him a blank check, man, and just let him run. Yep. Like, okay, now this just popped in my head because I thought about this, because this is kind of like a little dialogue that's been going on. What are your thoughts on, like, people are saying they would want Coogler to direct Blade, but then on the other hand, I sit from a perspective, or I shouldn't say I, just me, but other people would love to see him do more original stuff. Where do you stand on that?
Well, first things first, I think we have to give Coogler some grace here because, first of all, take away Sinners, he's only done 4 pictures in his career, full-length feature, like in theaters type of pictures. If you exclude some of his shorts and some of the things that he's done previously. Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Sinners. What is something that most of those films have in common?
Michael B. Jordan?
That too. But most of those pictures that I just named are either IP or something that was based on a true story.
Yes.
They're like previous stories. Now, Fruitvale Station, I think, like from an awards perspective, it would be submitted into original screenplay if I'm not mistaken. But when you look at Creed, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, the majority of his pictures are adaptations. I am glad that he did something original, but if you really think about it, Ryan Coogler's not known for originality. He is now because of Sinners, but pre-Sinners, no, he was never known for that.
Yeah.
And I think we also have to remember that this guy, he made his bones when he was doing these pictures. Like every picture that he's done, some aspect of the way led up to this movie. When you look at the Fruitvale Station, his collaboration with Michael B. Jordan, the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
When you look at Creed, Ludwig Göransson, I understand that with Ludwig, they were already roommates, but just because you're roommates doesn't mean that you won't be well as coworkers.
True.
They are fantastic, and we saw that with being Creed. It's been a beautiful relationship since. You go to the Black Panther films. I understand that it is popular and it's famous and it's kind of trendy to make fun of Marvel, but like it or not, and I know that some people may disagree with this, I think, in my subjective opinion, a lot of what we got in Sinners would not have happened if he didn't establish those well relationships within Black Panther. Now, yes, I understand that other people were already attached to Black Panther before he was.
Sure.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, of course, Chadwick Boseman, I believe Ruthie Carter. But when you look at the heads of the departments, like Ruthie Carter, costume designer, Hannah Beachler, production designer, art director, or when you look at his cinematographer on Akapaw, I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I hope so. With her DP work on Black Panther Wakanda Forever, his sound mixer, Steve Bodecker, who was nominated for the Oscar for his work in Black Panther. And like so much of this, yeah, I understand that like they were already like pre-planned for him.
Yeah.
But the fact that you go back to work with this guy again, some people, they don't go back to working with the director. He now has his fruit. He has his squad, Spielberg, Tarantino level of squad. Like when it comes to like me being a big movie nerd, I would pay attention with a lot of people that you work with in department heads. Yeah. And he has his own crew. He's a collaborative director, which I love so much. And like when you look at that one continuous shot scene, when you get to that scene, Coogler had to learn how to be great at overseeing departments, whether it's the costume design and the way how they depict the past, the present, and the future. When it comes to sound mixing and overlooking that, when it comes to overlooking art direction and it's just the space, the cinematography, so much of that had to have been learned and picked up. Even the editing, like I believe his editor has been with him since Creed, if I'm not mistaken. He had to learn that. Sinners, I don't know if he would have been able to make Sinners 5 years ago. I don't know. He could have.
Yeah.
But he needed this to come first. It's like the stars have aligned.
Yeah.
He didn't need it, but I'm glad that we had to, the wait was worth it. I'm glad he did not do an original film until Sinners. So going back to your question to wrap it up, I would like to see him do more original projects.
Yeah. Okay.
That being said, he's Ryan frickin' Coogler. He could do another Black Panther film if he wants to, and I still think it would be good.
Yeah.
And apparently there's talks about Denzel being a part of it.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to turn down Ryan Coogler directing Denzel Washington with his dial? Oh, heck no. I'm not going to turn that down, dog. Nah, man. But I'm not against it. but you do have an opportunity to make more original content. I'm behind Coogler either way. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I was hearing talks about how he has a producing credit to a future Regina King picture that's coming out. It's going to be more in the genre
Oh,
base. Yes.
okay.
I had a source who told me about that. I really hope that source is correct. I'm going to probably do some follow up. So don't take my word for it. Do your own research.
For sure.
I would like to see Coogler do more original projects
Mm.
because even with my love for Black Panther, he's still under the Marvel machine. Now, yes,
Yeah.
compared to others, him and like James Gunn have much more creative freedom where you're like, yeah, I could tell this is more of your movie than a Marvel movie.
Right.
But yeah, I'm fine with either way. I have a preference, but whatever decision Coogler makes, I have faith that, and of course, there is room for doubt, but I have
Right.
faith that he's going to make the right decision, and he has nothing to prove.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, I hear you. I'm like, it's weird. I sit in like the middle where I want him to go after those original projects because he's doing so well, especially with the centers and stuff like that. And he really doesn't have anything to prove. He's done a smaller movie. He's done that big blockbuster, and he's done another big blockbuster, but it's an
If I'm not
original.
the mid budget, I think Creed was a mid budget or a
Yeah.
little bit above a mid budget, going into like the lower end of big budget.
Yep. So it's like he don't got nothing else to prove on that. But I wouldn't hate if he decided that he wanted to direct Blade, or if he at least decides, he can produce, right?
Oh, or even if it's just a writing credit, if it's a co-writing credit, I'll take that.
Or it's a co-writing credit. Yep, something like that of that nature. I would welcome that because he's Ryan Coogler. At this point, you might want to give him a blank check and let this man cook. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
For
yeah,
sure.
I hear that. That's a good response to that. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen on the Blade front still, and just basking and enjoying the success for Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, what's next, bro? What's next? Because I think if I'm not mistaken, he's going to do Black Panther 3. At least I think he's still going to direct it.
It
But
sounds
maybe
like going into motion.
Yeah, but is there another movie before that, or do you remember from that conversation?
Normally, I don't think much about what X person is going to do next or know a lot about it until towards the end of the year.
Sure.
So, like award season, like when it comes to Christopher Nolan, I knew nothing about Odyssey until he was starting to go on that like awards, race when it comes to his work on Oppenheimer. Same thing,
Okay.
Dunkirk. I didn't know anything about Tenet until after he got nominated for the Academy Award for his first directing nomination for Dunkirk. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's just me.
Yeah.
Some people have much more greater industry connections than I do. I mean, I have some, but I'm not the best when it comes to like always knowing right away.
Sure.
As far as for what I know, it sounds like Black Panther's in like that early stage. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he had a first draft right now. That wouldn't shock me.
Yep.
He had a first draft of Wakanda Forever before Chadwick Boseman died, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy.
And again, I know I sound like a broken record if I'm not mistaken when it comes to that, but I'm not afraid to say that over and over again because I don't want to like intentionally mislead people.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, I'm down for either or. I have a preference, but again, Ryan Coogler, especially if Denzel's in it.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Oh yeah. And it'll be interesting too to see, like, even as we look at Black Panther 3, whether he directs or not, he's at least writing in, and he'll probably even have a producing credit too. It's interesting to see, like, even as we go to these next Avengers movies, to see like what happens and how that impacts. I'm sure he might have a little bit of an idea of what's going to happen, but how that impacts his writing. So that'll be interesting thing to just keep an eye on. Sweet, right. Let's do it. Mission Impossible 3
agent confirmed.
Stand by to go live. On my mark. 5.
You have a wife, girlfriend?
4. 3.
Whoever she is, I'm gonna find her.
2.
I'm gonna hurt her.
1.
And then I'm gonna kill you right in front of her.
What are you not telling me?
Execute.
Such a nice car.
Do it. It's Hunt. I know it's Hunt.
You'll never get what you want! You don't think I'll do it?
Dude, this film, man, like, I think I like as the movie was going on, I sat there. I was like, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first Mission Impossible I saw growing up. I think this is the first one. And I remember going to the theater to see it, and I think this is really where it got me going when it comes to just action movies and just the whole Tom Cruise thing. Like, I was a big Tom Cruise guy growing up as a kid. I still am right now. But like as a kid, I'm like, man, this movie, I was like, this movie is it's everything. Right? And we were talking as we talked about Mission Impossible 2. If you haven't heard that conversation, go back and watch Mission Impossible 2 pod episode. But like, man, the vast jump from what we saw in Mission Impossible 2 to this one, dude, this movie is great. This movie is great, bro. And there's people that sit here, like, I've seen some responses, and people want to defend Mission Impossible 2, and they want to say 3 is the worst of the franchise. I'm like, whoa, did I just watch a different movie an hour ago? Like, did I watch a completely different movie?
Wow, man.
Bro, Mission Impossible 3, dude, it's like, this might be, I don't know, I can't remember where it's at in my rankings, but this movie is top tier. This movie's top tier, bro. It's top tier.
All right. So would you like me to begin with opening thoughts, or like how you want to do this, man?
Yeah, go ahead. Go on your opening thoughts.
I remember when I first saw the trailer for this movie, it was we owned Nacho Libre, which was another Paramount picture that came out. And one of the trailers that was on the DVD for Nacho Libre was Mission Impossible 3. That's the first time I've ever seen it. This was like back in 2009, 2010. I want to say 2010.
Okay.
So I watched the trailer and I'm just like so transfixed. I'm like, yes, I got to see this. I don't know why or how I'm going to do it. Why I want to. I'm just knew like, I got to do this. I didn't end up watching Mission Impossible 3 until like 2 years later, in 2012. It was right before, I want to say, I was in 5th grade when I saw it. That should show you how young I am. And I watched the Mission Impossible films out of sequence. I believe I watched 3 first. Then I went to Ghost Protocol. Then I saw the first one on VHS.
Okay.
And at the time when I was a kid, this movie was, again, like Mission Impossible 2, I thought it was one of the best things ever. Peak tier filmmaking, storytelling, cinema, character work. It was one of the greatest experiences that I've ever had going into that elementary phase of my career. And I was discovering Tom Cruise films, Jack Reacher, Minority Report, some of his other pictures as well.
Yeah.
Over the years, I am proud to say that unlike Mission Impossible 2, 3 has just always stayed in my own personal machination of the cultural zeitgeist, my own head. And even now, recently, on a rewatch, this is easily not only one of my favorite Mission Impossible films, probably one of my favorite action films of that decade, of the 2000s. I love this movie so much. The entire reboot, because essentially this movie is a reboot. Yes, it still keeps with some things in terms of continuity with the past Mission Impossible films.
Yep.
But Tom Cruise wanted this movie to have a brand new feeling. He wanted to start from scratch. He wanted to, of course, dive a lot deeper into the Ethan Hunt character. J.J. Abrams was a director that he was very impressed with because of his television work. When J.J. Abrams was doing a lot of television, I believe one of his shows, Alias, Jennifer Garner, one of the episodes that he worked on, and Cruise was just like, I got to do this. And it keeps surprising me that this is a directorial debut. This is indeed a debut.
This is crazy.
It's crazy, man. And in retrospective, when you look at J.J. Abrams' career, which I'm so glad that he's now starting to be in development for a new project, because it's like, it feels like this guy's been in director's jail, metaphorically speaking, since freaking Rise of Skywalker, which I will say for J.J. Abrams, he is really great at but reminding audiences why they fell in love with said property. Mission Impossible 3 reminds us why we fell in love with just the entire brand of Mission Impossible in general. He does the same thing for Star Trek, and I would even argue he does the same thing for The Force Awakens. Now, however he continues with Star Wars after The Force Awakens, that's the debatable.
Yes. But
I appreciate pretty much mostly almost all of his films, even his original work with Super 8, which I know he gets some criticisms for in terms of being like a Spielberg Jr., but I think a lot of that is coming from a place of inspiration. But to circle back to Mission Impossible 3, he brings so much energy, so much vibrant, just adrenaline to this work. I think he does a great job. Him and the screenwriter, I was recently reading the screenplay for this. They both all just do a great job at like building Ethan Hunt, retired, a man who is trying to settle down, bringing much more of his energy that we loved about him from the first and second film and using it into his benefit.
Yeah.
I really appreciated how this movie just goes about and how it constructs his action set pieces. The action set pieces are some of the best I've ever seen in filmmaking, and just the whole behind the scenes process of how they were able to construct these running scenes or these set pieces that involve like on a bridge or shootout set pieces. It's just amazing. But of course, we got to talk about something that even for people who don't love this movie, you cannot deny. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh,
rest his soul.
So good.
This guy is a legend. I'm just going to say it. He's a legend.
Yep.
I would argue top 25 greatest actors of all times, regardless of the gender, regardless of the era. He's one of the best. And he goes about this role with such grace and confidence. It makes no sense because I'm going to come at you with a few critiques. And this is one of the reasons why this is not, I don't think it's the best film of the franchise. I think you can make a case that this movie, from a plot perspective, is kind of surface level when it comes to the rabbit's foot plot.
Sure.
The rabbit's foot is a MacGuffin that really doesn't matter, really doesn't make no sense. And Owen Davian's character, even when I'm reading his character on paper, he's not a great villain. Like, as far as like deeply layered or somebody that is like very intriguing in terms of just being a baddie.
Yeah.
He has a pretty straightforward motivation. He's an arms dealer. He doesn't let people get in his way. If you get in his way, he'll take care of you. He is as Lawrence Fishburne would reference, the goddamn invisible man. And not referring to one of them that gets confused with another invisible man.
Yeah.
I think that Philip Seymour Hoffman, he elevates this character and brings so much gravitas than what is required on paper. He turns a one-dimensional character into a three-dimensional performance. I don't know how he does it. There are scenes that we're going to get to where he gives Tom Cruise a freaking run for his money. And dude, Tom Cruise is giving one of the best performances of his career in that opening. Oh. So overall, Mission Impossible 3 and opening thoughts, I love it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a great movie as far as like if I'm looking at it from like a critique perspective, but as far as like fun, entertainment, memorability, rewatchability, it is one of my favorite action filmmaking experiences, and I cannot wait to hear what you got to say.
Bro, it's so good. It is just so good. Like I especially love the opening sequence. I remember it specifically that when I went to go see it, when I first saw it, I remember distinctly how it's quiet, right? It is quiet, and I mean you hear a little bit of something, and then you see the Paramount Pictures Presents type thing, and then out of nowhere you get you're like, what's going on? Yep. And then you see him, my boy is in a chair messed up. You're like, oh boy, what's going on? In a bad situation. And you have no idea what's going on, but you're trying to connect the dots, and then you see this girl's in there, and you're like, wait, Ethan has a girl. That's not Tandy Newton. That's not Tandy Newton. Who is this? Who is this? What's going on? And then the movie just gets right underway. And I think from there on, I think the pacing is just so good. It goes from, where it starts in the intro and it ramps up into the opening sequence, which is super short. They keep it really brief in this one. Yeah, they keep it brief, which is different. But I think I love it, and it works because there's a lot of stuff to cram in this 2-hour movie. But then we find Ethan just living life, which is weird. I mean, it feels right compared to I shouldn't say compared to, but when we're thinking about Mission Impossible 2 and how it ended, it feels kind of right that he is living the ordinary life, except there's a different girl in the picture and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on we come in from number 2, and then he just walks away with this girl, and then we start this movie, and he's living just a normal lifestyle, and you're like, what's going on? What are we doing?
It's one of the best decisions I think Tom Cruise, screenwriter and director, has ever done for the franchise. I love that Ethan, we take all of the good things that we liked about him from the first and even the second one.
Yeah.
And we transition into this next one, like that opening scene with the fridge showing him and Julia, well played by Michelle Monaghan. I think that the chemistry is instantly there. You buy that this guy actually has a relationship with her. They're, of course, engaged. Wow. Ethan is making these friendly conversations and connecting so exceptionally well. Like, I did not love the Playboy aspect about Ethan in Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
But they carry that here, and they use the Playboy aspect to his strengths. He's a very charmer man. He's charismatic. He has that flirtatious vibe to him, but at the same time, that flirtatious vibe is redirected into how he's trying to impress other people, showing that he is the right man for Julia.
Yep.
Like the girls at the party are like falling in love with him. One of the guys is like getting jealous of him and kind of like just kind of think of him as a snooze fest. He's working the room, working the crowd up very well. But what makes it just so fascinating, it's just that like Ethan has seen it all. He has been placed. He's from around, like Denzel says, he's from around the way. Like he's seen the struggle. He's seen the pain. He's seen so many girls that he could have chose other than Julia. She gives more like girl next door vibes, not like hot vibes, but
Sure.
or like model vibes. But she gives like that peaceful, sweet, cute girl next door type of vibes that I really like. And just the whole aspect of Ethan trying to connect with people, trying to be in a position to where he puts himself in demand of having that domesticated lifestyle. But
Yeah.
knowing that like there's an irony that J.J. Abrams played with the blocking so well that this guy's a spy. Like people are so fascinated by him. Some are fans, some are like, like, okay, like what do you do for a living? And he's just playing it off very well. And like these guys have no freaking idea.
No. It's like she was having a conversation with her girls and he was far away, but he was reading their lips and she couldn't remember the lake. Couldn't remember the lake and he's like, it's Lake Wakana or something like that.
Like Wanaka.
Yeah, Wakana.
And which is a great setup for something later on in the film that I thought was brilliant. And again, from a character perspective, I do have critiques with this screenplay, but I got to give hats off. Hold on 1 second. I got to look this. I just had, of course, J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, and Roberto Orsi, if I'm correct, I'm saying it right. Like all three of them were working on the script. One of the crowning achievements of the screenplay is the character of Ethan Hunt and how they establish him, how they introduce him, how they set him up, where we care about this guy, we care about his relationship. So once he is contacted in that inciting incident of Lindsay Ferris, someone that he trained to put in the game, and she's in trouble, bringing him back to the action, Ethan he's kind of like living that double life. And he has to make a choice into where this be something sustainable. But now that we talked about the inciting incident, of course, let me see here, like the Billy Crudup character, Musgrave, who recruits him.
Yes.
Billy Crudup, great character actor. If you ever seen the morning show, he's really great in that show.
Yes, he's good in the morning show.
But I wanted to ask, now that we're starting to get into effect, we're getting into the sequence where he's getting his team back. He has a new team this time. How did you like the camera of the mission debriefing? What did you think of that?
It was kind of cool.
Oh,
you know, I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it.
You didn't love it?
I didn't love it, but I do like it with the disposable camera aspect. He just looks into it. It feels very, for its time, right? Like it feels like it works within its, that mid 2000s esque. Where it's in, I feel like spy movies at this point or action movies kind of have their groove right here in the mid 2000s, and I feel like this one
all have one of those cameras. All of us.
Yes.
Like you could just smell the flash. Like you winding that puppy up after a birthday party, something like that. Like you felt like that you were going out to make your own pictures. Like it was amazing. And of course, we get to the recruiting scene that he meets up with his team. It's nice to see Ving Rhames, Luther back. He's been the most consistent thing about this franchise. The
most consistent.
Is giving some good stuff here. This is where Luther starts to become that big brother figure giving Ethan
Yes.
advice that I really, really love. I like how he's acquired it here, talking about the relationship when he figures out the relationship with not only Lindsay Ferris, but also Julia.
Yeah.
Another critique that I have, and again, this is nothing against the actors. This is nothing against Reese Myers. This is nothing against Maggie Q or Kerry
Sure.
Russell. I love Kerry Russell. Holy God, such a good actress.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the team dynamic here.
No.
And that's not to say that the actors are giving bad performances. No, they're
Right.
all doing good work. Maggie Q, I mean, this was during her Nikki day. Well, come freaking on, man. Like, I want a
Yeah.
Maggie renaissance at this point. Give her some work if she's down for it. But
Right.
character-wise, they're so thin. They're so one note. Yes, they're giving cool things to do, thank God, and the actors are doing the best that they can. But I just wasn't a big fan of the team dynamic from a writing perspective. Again, the actors do the best they can, and I think they do a solid job. But as far as team dynamic goes, this is another Mission Impossible film where I just wasn't really that impressed. It really wasn't until, spoiler alert, Ghost Protocol, where I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to feel the greatness of the team dynamic, not just in their chemistry, but also their backgrounds and who they are. I do like the setup for Benji. This is the first film that we see Benji.
Yes.
Yes, it's a glorified cameo, but it's great setup that is worth it.
Yeah.
But we're going into an action set piece where Ethan has to rescue Lindsay Ferris. So just to talk about some of the action set pieces, what did you think about this? Was it your favorite set piece of the film, or is it going more down the road?
I think my favorite is down the road. I do think like this whole sequence was good. Like it was good, but I think because it definitely sets the tone. It reminds you, it's like, hey, this is Mission Impossible. And granted, it's been a while, right? 2000 to was this 06?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 06. So it's
this is right after War of the Worlds.
Yep. So it's been a while, and so this one it kind of reminds you. It's like, okay, like you said, fresh reboot in a sense, and you gotta land it perfectly. And I think they did a good job of just introducing us back into that world, especially since again, this is where the good writing comes into play. The movie starts off one way, then we go into that suburban lifestyle, and then it's like, okay, we're going into this mission, and then we realize how high the stakes really are. And it's been 6 years for us, and I guess technically, if you want to say in the context of Ethan's story, it's probably just as long and maybe longer. So I think that set piece to start it off with Agent Ferris I thought it was good, but my favorite is Stone One.
And what also just makes this great is that the stakes are established, but they're so small scaled.
Small.
The world is not at stake. A chemical outbreak is not going to go down. There's no infiltration when it comes to the CIA and like, oh my God, the CIA like burned down after there's no nukes.
Right.
It's really about a man trying to save the relationships that he has with his young ward and then his wife. Now, of course, with Lindsay Ferris, Kerry Russell, for the time that she's given, I really love what she's given within that character.
So good.
I do like that relationship of Ethan. Like, you understand, like, okay, what is it going to take for Ethan to get back in the game? Like, he's married, really expecting to buy that. The first person he's ever trained to be an IMF agent. He feels like he has a responsibility over her because he trained her. And there's a really good action set piece with them having a really great shootout. There's this one, like, I remember in the trailer, so sick. He throws her a Beretta, catches that puppy, bang, bang.
The way she does it too, she says, "Wow!" She knew she was business. She knew. She was like, "You trained me. I know what I'm doing.
But and again, another thing that just kind of doesn't work for me is just kind of like an imbalance. The overall set piece does work. Like the stunt coordination, the action works really well, and Michael Giacchino's score does wonders for that.
Oh yeah.
But like we have Maggie Q here, who is known a lot for her television series Nikita, that is an action series. Why aren't we putting her to work these other guys, like, why are we putting them to work? Like, I'm not getting that much of them in here as characters. But again, it's worth it because you're engaged with Ethan and Lindsay Ferris, their whole escape. I did like the helicopter sequence. Okay, we're putting this guy to work, of course, and stuff like that, and his like aerial pilot skills, which I really did, the Declan character. But as far as the way how that scene ends, unexpected.
Crazy.
I'm
like
looking
that
at
thing
the
just goes off in her head, and then
I'm
her
looking at
eyes
the
just
like the movie says for some disturbing images. I'm like, there's something disturbing about
yeah.
And it was hard, man. And then just the transition of that scene into the scene with Brasso, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne, really
I forgot
underrated.
about him.
I'd get in because I'll tell you one thing. This is one of my favorite performances of his because the way how he hands Ethan and Musgraves behind in that scene constantly, like the line readings and the dialogue is so great. Like when he was talking about like making mistakes and like of how like him being fat joke or just talking about like, I'm sorry, did you just throw a title with me? I don't care if your daddy plays for the president. Like, oh my god,
Like
like
he chewed them up, bro. I was like,
that's the very definition of
yep.
You do not want to just. There are just some bosses, even no matter how tough you are, you just don't want to be in a room with them. And just seeing Ethan just like so stern, but even Ethan cannot outweigh the ego of this man. And the way how he describes Owen Davian, he describes like, okay, these guys fail. You're only here because of one reason, and that is luck. And just even going into like, please do not answer when I'm asking rhetorical questions. I'm like, it's like time after time. And Fishburne understands because Fishburne, he has such a history when it comes to establish himself as, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, as that nigga. He just does. He is that guy. And now, and like other pictures that he's done in the past, where he's more into like playing like the more like hood type of guy. Now he's coming at it more professionally. Like he's wearing that suit, kind of applying and capturing that boys in the hood type of aspect. With the aggression line readings of What's Love Got to Do with it. It works really here. And even that ending final line where he talks about like, if you excuse me, I got to notify her parents that she died on a traffic accident. I was like,
bro,
that's how y'all
ate them,
do this?
ate
Like
them clean.
They don't even know how she passed away, and they'll never know, which is wild, man. It's just they got no evidence from like everything went to crap. They didn't like even the stuff that they recovered for evidence that was fried. Like like a bunch of the stuff, like everything went to crap. Like Owen Davian just knows how to cover his behind, and now Ethan, he's got to find this guy Owen Davian. He's got to find him. But there's stuff with him and Julia, and that's when the movie. I'll tell you one thing: when the movie gets into Italy,
that's when it starts to get popping, bro. That's when it starts to get popping.
Okay,
that's when it starts to get.
You gotta leave with this. What are some of your favorite moments here? As they are hunting and pursuing to get Owen Davian, to capture him and to get him into custody. Like what are just some of the things that are just work for you?
I like, because again, you're playing with that tension of he was a suburban, just a suburban citizen, he's about to get married. Now he's back in the field. He's trying to finish this job. And so you see that tension, like right before he leaves from that mission, he comes back, and he's not himself. And Julia can taste it. She can feel it. She knows, and she doesn't know what, but she can feel it. So when we get to Italy, I love his relationship with Luther, like you were talking about. Like this is where it starts to go, and it starts to develop even more, and to see him and Ethan kind of, it's very little, but they start chatting about him, and Julia and just getting married and stuff like that. And he's like,
this is everybody's telling Ethan it's not a good idea.
No, it's not a good
Ethan
idea.
doesn't care because he's happy and he's willing to go through it. This is the first time we've ever seen Ethan actually find some type of happiness outside of the job. Because even Thandie Newton's character was still a part of the job.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point.
I think the team, this is where the actors come into play. The actors do such a good job elevating much more than what they're given, with running around, with like going back and forth, transforming. Again, the movie captures the technology, the gadget, the
mask,
spies, the use of the mask. Maggie
my
Q
favorite
shows it with that like mascara, like mirror that she has, taking pictures of Davian. Even your boy Declare, like he's going back and forth, drilling holes, transforming into a security guard. What was that? A Ferrari? Was that a Ferrari?
Yeah, it was like a Ferrari. It was Ferrari.
And the movie brings back those heart-stopping moments of like espionage, like when they are in the freaking bathroom.
Dude,
holy
bro,
God.
This is like this.
You got a big meathead in the back, like,
bro,
are you okay?
Mission Impossible, bro. This scene right here, I'm like,
and I believe that was Philip's scene. And again, what I like about the mask scenes, it's not just the special effects of how they do it, but like those are the actors
playing. Oh,
actual
dude,
person playing them. So Philip Seymour Hoffman, he has to play. If I'm not mistaken, if that was him, I don't think that was CGI work. I think it was actually Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, I think it's actually him.
Ethan playing Owen Davian with the spilled drink on his and like getting it out.
Different demeanor.
Different demeanor. The coughing. Oh my God! Like I hate it when they do it. Like, okay, we got a few more seconds. We got to work with this, but it's realistic. Technology is expensive.
Right,
so
right.
And I'm just like him coughing. It was just so like nerve wracking, and just the way how they escape with Owen Davian, like with that ski boat. Oh,
bro, and they were so happy too. They're like, yeah, we got him. Yeah, that's how we do it.
Score, man. Bring back those freaking bongos. I miss the bongos,
bro.
That's something that I miss. But another scene that we're getting into as we go into this, before we get to the midpoint, the airplane scene where he's interrogating, but it's not really much of an interrogation because for some strange reason, this Owen Davian character, he's ahead of the game. He knows, and he's just ignoring everything with Ethan. It's like an unstoppable force against an immovable object. Because you know that Ethan can beat the brakes off of this guy.
Oh, 100%.
But this guy is feeling, he's not like your boy, he's not like Sean, where like he could put up a fight and he's like a rogue agent. Like, no, he works differently. He can make a call and you're screwed.
Yeah.
And just with Ethan throwing him, when he brought up Lindsay, torturing her, and Ethan threw his behind out, I was just like, you know what?
Bro.
If that was me, I might just kill you. No.
Yeah.
Let you fall out of the plane. Because
and the way he was saying it too, like you can just tell he meant business, bro. Like that was
Owen was scared.
Dude.
I really believe Owen thought he was going to die. And when he put him back in thank God for Luther, when he put him back in the plane, what I'm selling is the last thing that you should be concerned about.
Yep.
And again, I felt like that was a bit cheap because I'm like, okay, this is another excuse of not really diving into like the rabbit's foot, the mystery aspect of it all. Like I really don't care about the rabbit's foot. It's just a MacGuffin to get us from point A to point B. But you know what? We'll go with it. And then we get to probably my favorite sequence of the movie.
Dude, I was reminded of this because some of these moments was in the trailer back in the day and the commercials and stuff, and I was like, dude, this might be my favorite. This might be my favorite. Now to think about it, this might be my favorite.
So great, man! Like, oh my God, the build up, the tension. We see a a microdot that Luther is able to process. We think, oh my God, like it might be Brassel who's
right.
And when that car explodes,
dude,
it all goes to crap.
That's
And I like the way, I just love the dedication of the practical effects. This was not heavy CGI. They actually built real life miniatures to construct for the sequences. I love J.J. Abrams.
That's crazy.
He's working with the stunt coordinator trying to like block and map how is this going to go. Again, was a bit disappointed, and this is throughout the film. Not much use of Ethan's team. But
yeah.
I like the whole aspect of Ethan character-wise. He's more concerned about, like, it's such a dichotomy. Like, what is he more concerned about? Are you more concerned about finding Owen Dadian? Because you know we know what he's going to do if he does not catch this guy.
Right.
And then you have that whole aspect of, okay, but I still care about the characters. Instead of getting Luther in on the action, he's like, there's a woman on the bridge. She's shot. Go take care of her.
Yep.
Like some people we see in other like spy films, they don't give a crap about collateral damage. They care about the mission. But Ethan, one of his biggest problems is he's not willing to let someone die in order to get the bigger goal, which has always been a reoccurring problem for him throughout the years. Even going into Final Reckoning, he refuses to sacrifice the people that he cares about. And Ethan just running back and forth. This is some of the best uses of Tom Cruise's runs I've ever seen. I would actually argue this is the best use of Tom Cruise's run we've seen in the franchise.
You think so?
Fallout, the rooftop shake sequence in Fallout does give it a run for his money, but like runs here are so incredible. He's so spry. Like he works his way going back and forth, trying to get to Owen Damian. The guy gets sniped in the bus, going back, hearing that awesome score in the background. Ethan, there's a G36 in the trunk. I'm like,
he says, I know.
Because, like, of course, I play Call of Duty. I know what a G36 is. You put that thing to work with that drone zipping by with the missiles.
Yeah.
The sequence of him getting out of the car, when there's a missile coming right towards him, all they did was put a string on Tom Cruise. They yanked his behind. He crashed into the car.
Dude.
Fabulous stunt, man. Fabulous stunt. And then, of course, he has to jump across that freaking bridge.
Dude.
So awesome. So intelligent. And again, meanwhile, what is that? What the heck was that stuff? The sticky paste that they put on.
Yeah. I don't know.
The nitrogen type of thing where it would like freeze and they would break it. I thought was really cool. And just when you think that Ethan is going to get on Owen Dadian,
dude,
he misses, man, and that's when we know,
it's about to get real.
It's going to hell, and we get, of course, Owen gets to Julia. Of course, we know
he called her right. He called the house right away. He's like, "Where's Julia?"
And of course, her brother couldn't have. Like, God bless that guy.
No.
I think it was that was Aaron Paul.
Yes, I noticed that. I was like,
before Breaking Bad, like, oh my God, like it works really well, really crazy. And of course, like him being like the like the younger 2000s brother in his early 20s. Like I thought Aaron Paul, he understood the assignment. And it just worked very well. Ethan zipping back and forth. Now he's in trouble because he's starting to go rogue. Him breaking out of the IMF building.
Bro, that was sick.
Genius. We are family. I love it.
That's sick, man.
Tom Cruise, he has taste in music because
dude,
that was.
And then Lawrence Fishburne, he says, "You gotta be kidding me."
I know. It's like, so he is no nonsense. Like even every time they try to tell him, he's like, "I know." Like you don't got to tell me. I already know. The question is, who's going to get this guy? And then we get Ethan. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, he's your top agent. He's been trading other agents. It's like, man, locking this dude up is.
We created someone who can literally shut us all down in like 24 hours. Of course, Ethan's given the instructions. to go to China,
Shanghai,
bro, and
this is my favorite set piece.
Okay.
I think this is my favorite one.
Right,
I know I said the other one. I think I said the other one was, but the other one is good. But the heist, man, off the building, falling on top of the building, and then he disappears. He goes against Rabbit Foot, and everyone's like, "We got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes. He's got to make that call. 5 minutes." And then next thing you know, I got the Rabbit's Foot. I can't get to the roof.
Again, J.J. Abrams is really talented when it comes to building layers of tension and being able to establish, like, okay, we got this. It's like every time something right happens, two things wrong goes wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Like, he's constantly giving these characters a hard time. Even the side characters, he's giving a hard time as well. Like, when it comes to the whole aspect of, like, Zen getting shot. Or like everybody's getting a little nervous in terms of like, okay, like, is he going to make it? Obviously, Luther, I know you were scared, but of course that one guy, like, I knew he'd make it.
I knew he'd make it.
And there was this weird small scene with Zen and Declan where they were talking about like her saying a prayer. Where I was just like,
so weird.
I wanted more of that.
Yeah, it's so
more of that.
Yeah, it's so weird because up until this point, we haven't had any of those kind of moments with them. And granted, this is kind of the last scene with, not the last scene, but the last big moment.
Big moment. And it's a stressful situation. Like, you guys are already committing multiple crimes.
Oh,
you could die. Like, I like that moment of like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through this, so let me say like a little prayer. I used to do this when I lost a cat, and she would come back, and like I actually appreciated that. And I was also surprised how heavily CGI this sequence was, and how many green screen backgrounds there was.
Oh, like, yeah, when he's falling.
Yeah, when he's free falling, because I feel like if he had the accessibilities, I feel like he actually would jump off of. I mean, yeah, he jumped off of a real building. He would have done it.
Oh yeah, this man's crazy.
But of course, like, his insurance agent was probably like, no, at the time. He didn't have as much.
Tom, no.
It all works to build up to it. But what I really loved was the scene before where they're basically trying to process, like, okay, how we're going to do. I love the pre-planning before the heist and getting to the pre-planning. And Ethan just establishing, like, getting ahead of everybody else. Like, okay, the good news is it's here. The bad news is we got to steal it. And
right.
They're talking about his base jump. They're basically excuses after excuses, and Ethan is just like ignoring because he's motivated.
Dude.
He has to get this done. His whole life is on the line. His personal life isn't on the line. It's Julia, which makes up his whole life.
Right.
Luther has this great line delivery. I'm not saying I have a better idea, but there's a point where bold becomes stupid. Oh my God. Again, like, you see the faith that they have in Ethan, but even us, like, I like how this is just a really big reiteration of how, I don't know what Ethan believes in, but you cannot tell me that this guy is not someone who applies faith into this job, because he doesn't know. He has no certainty that this is going to work. He comes up with this all in the fly. He's literally constructing and trying to do like this math and like geometry of how to get across. And like, okay, do I have a base jump? We're going to need an escape plan. I'm going to need someone ready to get us out of there and make sure that we avoid all security. And there are going to be cops on our tail. Who's going to do that? I need a diversion. Who's going to be in charge of that? Like, he's so talented, but you could just see on his face that he does not know if this is going to work.
No, not at all.
Anyways, because he knows if he does not do it in like a few hours, they will kill Julia. And of course, we circle back to the opening sequence where...
Yeah. Oh. It all ties back to that.
Tell me where he departs from his team. Tell me you did not think that she was dead.
I I've seen this movie before, and it got me again.
when I first
I
saw
literally
it,
was like,
like,
dang, she's dead.
they did.
And this again, because for 2 seconds, I was like, oh, dang, she's dead. But then I forget, like, later on in the series, obviously, don't want to spoil it for certain people, but also later on in the series, we catch up with her. And so I'm like, oh, shoot, she dead. And then they rip off the mask, and I was like, oh,
His
duh.
translator, bro. And Musgrave, holy God, like what a
Bro.
like on one hand, thank you for mentioning because he's just like Ethan, you're gonna die, but we could save your wife. I just need to know
Right.
what was in Lindsay's file. And on one hand, I'm like, thank you for buying us time, but on the other hand, you're a jerk. You're gonna get your day. You're gonna meet your maker pretty soon. Yep. It's gonna kill you, and it's just the whole idea that you got to remember. I didn't know about this was years before Fallout.
Right.
This was when Ghost Protocol was doing very well at the box office, being a huge phenomenon. People are sharing all of these behind the scenes of how he did that famous stunt. And I didn't know. So when I first saw this movie, I'm like, oh my God, they actually killed Julia. And the sigh of relief that Ethan has, that Tom Cruise displays, like, oh my, he displays some of the best, like, just emotional, tear-jerking scenes in this movie. That is like Magnolia, like father's bedside type of acting.
Yeah.
The reaction that he has when he asks her the question, fabulous setup, fabulous payoff. What lake did we go to? Lake Wanaka. Well, that's all he needed. And then that boy went to town on Musgrave, and now we are locked in.
Dude, this is where it starts to ramp up, and we see like he's in a pinch. How he's gonna get out of it? Cool. I know this is Julia. I bite the hand. I start to tussle with my guy, and I get up out of here, and I go find her. First thing he does.
That was a beating.
Yeah.
That was a beating. Like you're the double agent. Okay, yeah. I'm about to whoop your behind. I'm gonna take care of you later.
Yep.
And
Benji.
Benji's so well used in this film. I love Simon Pegg's performance here, even though he doesn't have that much time. Because I'm like, like this is the beginning of many times where Benji he has to stick his neck out for Ethan because he's committing espionage. Dude. And Giacchino's track for when he gets out and it's like about 2 miles out, I believe 1 or 2 miles out, and Ethan starts jumping from one rooftop to another, getting to a bridge. The cinematography and how it just follows him,
just carries him. Oh,
and then we get to that beautiful long take of Ethan just sprinting down a bunch of people, bunch of extras. There was actually real people. Like they had to like make sure like, okay, like his producers and this people on set who were a part of the scouting for the locations. Yeah. They had to make these big announcements like, okay, this guy's going to be sprinting down. We're just letting you know right now. It's going to happen with these few takes. And they created this, I believe it's a spider cam where it was cutting edge technology at the time. They used this for Spider-Man, where they would literally hang it up from wire to wire, and the camera would track on a wire, similarly how they do on the NFL. It's very popular now in the NFL, but at the time it was cutting edge technology. And I believe one of the creators, he won like one of those technical special Academy Awards, one of those honorary Academy Awards for that technology later on in 2007. Because of how incredible they were able to shoot not only Spider-Man's swinging sequences, but also Tom Cruise's sequences here. It is beautiful. It all works. Tom Cruise is so elegant. I'm someone who used to run track and field, and I'm like, this guy's got it down pat. I don't know how he's doing it in these jeans. I don't know how he's doing it in these shoes.
He's got flex jeans.
Oh yeah. Like from a costume design perspective, a lot of people's suits, a lot of people's shirts and shoes and jeans they're like specifically tailor made to apply to whatever their sequence is. Same thing with Chris Evans when he was talking about fighting with Pierre, and how the costume designer had to like make his suit to where he could do jiu-jitsu in it.
Right.
It's a beautiful sequence. I loved it. It all works. Benji offers some great levity side relief. I'm just surprised that this guy, he literally went, I think it was about 2 or 3 miles to get to Julia. And
that's
then
crazy. That man was running.
He was running. And of course we get to the final battle. And things are not looking good for Ethan. He has a whole behind bomb in his head. He's getting clapped in front of his lady. And when he is whooping Davian's behind, because Davian gets his licks in.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, 100%. But of course, it's like beating a guy while he's down.
Yes.
Sean Ambrose was actually putting in the work where Ethan was at peak. But this guy,
right.
Yeah, you were just taking advantage of the moment. When Ethan starts applying Tom Cruise has developed a style for the character Ethan. It's called Kelsey, where you're basically fighting with your elbows.
Okay.
Similar to Muay Thai, but it's like fighting with your elbows. I don't know if you heard any critiques about The Dark Knight and how Batman fights with his elbows. That's what they developed in terms of that type of style, in terms of a dagger down and the side.
Yep.
And when he starts hitting this guy with his elbow, it was wild, man. And then what a perfect way to end Owen Davian's character off with a good old truck to the face.
That was crazy. I forgot that's
wild.
it. That's how it ends. I was like, dang. I was like, that's tough. Because I like Davian.
But it's not over. Because this guy's got he's explosive in your head.
And he gets Julia out, and then she's like, what's going on? And he's like, trying to find a defibrillator.
And again, the trust that he has in Julia, the faith that he has, he literally kills himself. His heart is he's not breathing. His brain is the only thing that's alive. And I really loved how J.J. Abrams, he talked about how we wanted to give Julia her own scene.
Yes.
And she he teaches her how to use a Beretta and how to like point, shoot, and she even kills Musgrave.
Bro.
That was wild, man. That was wild.
Said, point and shoot. That's it.
That's it. Shoot. And like, of course, her being someone who worked in a hospital, she knew how to bring him back.
Right.
And like the sound work for her, like we like, okay, Ethan, he's a goner. Boom, boom, and then he comes back,
dude.
And it just wraps up into a beautiful idea. Like, of course, the movie is wrapping up in resolution and ending in terms of like he tells her what the truth.
Yeah.
And like it's such a sweet, beautiful ending. Like his relationship with Brasso starts to come nice. We don't really know what the rabbit's foot is, of course. Like, promise me you'll come back and we'll tell you. Like, of course, you're not going to tell us what the rabbit's foot is.
Yeah.
But the movie ends on such a beautiful high note. And in retrospective, you can't help but be bittersweet because on one hand, Ethan achieved his goals. He's being embraced by his friends and Benji and Luther. He gets right off into the sunset with Julia. But on the other hand, given what Ethan has to do for a living, you know this is not going to last. And we figure out it doesn't.
My wife was watching In and Out, but I was trying to tell her about that and how it carries on, and she was so mad. She's so mad. She's like, I was like, yeah. I was like, homie's not with her in the next film. Actually, he doesn't get back with her. She's like, what?
But I love the continuity going forward.
Yes.
Like, you don't abandon her.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
And I can't wait for that Fallout review, man, because I got a lot to say with that. But
I think it's just the continuity is beautifully done, and how number 3. And what's funny is, there's a 5-year gap between this and Ghost Protocol, but they still manage to keep the continuity, which speaks a lot to how much they value Mission Impossible 3 over number 2. Yep.
They really do. Mission Impossible 3, they had something special. Unfortunately, this film wasn't that great when it came to the box office. It was considered a disappointment. I don't know if it was considered a flop, but a disappointment. But critically, it was an improvement to the first, to the predecessor, and it did very well. critically and even audience-wise of those who did go see it. But I will say that the franchise, it wasn't there yet. It was in the right direction. This was the right step in the direction, but it wasn't there yet. It had to be developed. There were still aspects about the film that I can see how it may have not connected with people as well. It didn't also help that Tom Cruise was kind of going through a thing. I don't know if you heard of a certain interview with Oprah and involving a couch. Not the best pairing. And just with the whole stuff in terms of the controversy of Scientology. Many people will argue his career was failing, and it really wasn't until some people will argue Tropic Thunder, which was such a phenomenal performance, but it really wasn't until he started collaborating with McQuarrie and started getting in heavily with that Ghost Protocol phase where that revived his career as an action star and got him back into the good graces of people. So yeah, Tom Cruise, he definitely had wild things that were on that I think did kind of hurt this film.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad that he was able to find his stride with Ghost Protocol, which will, of course, I know you're going to do a review on later. But I think Mission Impossible 3 was the right step in the direction. I like the movie very much. To give you my final thoughts, I think it is a fun, entertaining experience. I feel like I can rewatch this movie every year. I own it on DVD. I literally have had it since I was in fifth grade. That's one of the first films I've ever bought on DVD. And
wow,
yeah, I remember even like because I had like this. My mom was listening to this. I had this behavior chart where okay, if you're able to get a check from this behavior chart for a week, your reward will get you a $5 movie from Walmart. You bet you're behind Mission Impossible 2 and 3 with that $5 movie. So I worked hard for it. And that was my allowance.
You knew what you was getting.
I was able to do that. I knew what I was doing. And this has been a part of my life for years. And I had a great experience. I'm trying to think of what else we have to talk about. That's like final thoughts. I love the use of the technology, the mask in this movie. I feel like every movie has used the mask very, very well.
Yeah, it's a consistent thing.
You would think that 8 films, let alone 3 films, you would think that the mask have gotten tired. No. No. They are incredible. They're wonderfully well made. And I just really love the twists and turns that this movie takes. I love the action set pieces, the blocking. Like J.J. Abrams is great when it comes to action. I don't care what anybody says. Like from Mission Impossible 3 to his work in Star Trek, which was another great achievement. Probably, in my opinion, his best film. Then to The Force Awakens, which I also love the work there. I think The Force Awakens, for me, is probably my second favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah.
And then we have Rise of Skywalker, which, of course, Super 8. And then Rise of Skywalker, which I understand people have had criticisms for. Me personally, Rise of Skywalker was a perfectly okay, passable movie. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people made it out to be. Yeah. But of course, it affected this guy's career. And I just really want for people to recognize that J.J. Abrams, like, it all started here. And I think he is much better of a director than what some people give him credit for. Hopefully one day he is able to get that true honor and that due, whether it's from a rewards perspective or just when it comes to honorary. I think that he is easily one of the better action directors we've had probably of all times.
That's some serious closing thoughts right there. J.J. Abrams. He's always been one of my faves. How do you think, because there's been talks, we've seen it in the trailers, how do you think Mission Impossible 3 connects with The Final Reckoning?
It wouldn't surprise me if the Rapid's foot involved. Like, I'm wondering, is this the movie where we're going to truly see what is the big deal of this Rapid's foot? Why was Owen Davian so obsessed with it? Why did it cost so much? Who's the person that developed it so he could become the buyer? I saw a recent trailer of it. Of course, I went to that CinemaCon sneak peek AMC thing that they did. where I saw
Mm-hmm.
some the presentations that they did at CinemaCon. They showed, of course, the recent Mission Impossible trailer, and I see this big explosion, and I'm just like, oh, like
Dude.
what are we dealing with here?
Mm.
Um, yeah, I hope that it's in that way. And if this is the final film, I'm telling you right now, they don't have to do it. But because I feel like with Fallout, we got closure with it.
Sure.
If they do it, if they bring Julia back, I just might cry. I don't cry during movies, but if they bring Julia back, just even if it's for a cameo, like 1 minute cameo, I just might cry.
Isn't it crazy? Like when you think about this third one, you think about how much of an impact that relationship had. And we hadn't even known Julia for the first two movies, but she came up in this one movie, and that connection, like that connection, just really, really sits with you. Like they sold it.
In Journey,
Yep.
she did a great job with her performance. She really did. It's kind of a miracle in a sense. Like when I look at the other Mission Impossible films, I really don't think of them as miracles other than like key stunts, but or as a story.
Sure.
Because this movie would have failed and not have gained the respect of its receivers who have seen it.
Yeah.
I think this franchise will be dead.
Oh, 100%.
I think it would have been dead.
Yep.
J.J. Abrams, he had a lot to work on with his shoulders, and I think he delivered, and he laid foundation for him later on in Ghost Protocol, which he didn't direct, but of course he was part of it creatively, I think from a producer perspective. And yeah, I think that this is a very special film, along with other action films like Bad Boys 2, The Dark Knight. I think of Live Free or Die Hard. It's probably one of my favorite action movies of the 2000s.
Yeah. Yep. I'd put it in that bucket for me as well. Easily. I could easily do that. It's that kind of movie. It's that kind of movie.
You got any final thoughts?
I love MI3. I think it works super well. It might be top 4 for me. It might maybe top 4, maybe top 5, at least top 5. And it again, like you said, it saved the franchise for sure. They took a lot of risk, but I think it paid off. It paid off long term because they had an idea of what they wanted to do going forward, and it set kind of a motion for what they wanted to do with these films. Like as you said about the team relationship, we don't get that until Ghost. But you can see that that's something that they really wanted to hone in on, and that ends up becoming a big foundation for like the rest of the series. So I'm excited to like keep watching. I'm gonna watch Ghost, and then I'm gonna do an episode. I'm pumped to dive back into that one because I remember when that one came out. Again, it was a while. It was a while since number 3, and so when that one came out, that one practically blew my mind because I was like, dude, this is action, right? Like this is like next level action with a solid storytelling in it too. And then we get the Jeremy Renners in there, we get more Benji, we get Ving Rhames in there, Paula Patton's in there, like ooh, like they start to cook with Brad Bird. They bring Brad Bird in here.
I will give a special preview.
Yeah.
Paula Patton's character, and this, I'm not going to go into it because, of course, we're going to do the review, but
sure,
she's probably one of the best characters of this franchise, and I really wish she could have came back.
I'm surprised.
I don't know if she's coming back for Final Reckoning, if for like a surprising role, but
sure.
I really wish I could have seen her. Of course, we're going to talk more about that with Ghost Protocol, but her character, easily one of the best of this franchise.
I was so surprised too. I remember thinking like after Ghost Protocol, and they were going like, okay, we're going to make another one. I was really surprised that they decided not to bring her back because I felt like this team's chemistry was really good, man. Like, it was
Apparently, with
really
scheduling
good.
conflicts.
Okay,
I
dang.
think it was scheduling conflicts, and
Yep,
so yeah.
that
But
sucks.
yeah,
All
man,
right,
Mission Impossible 3, fun
top
action
tier.
film. You want to know the crazy thing about it? It might be the most rewatchable film for me in the franchise, but you'll know what's the best film for me when we get. You'll know.
I think
Not
I know
there
what you're
yet.
talking about.
You'll know.
All right, I think I know. Um, but no, this has been fun just getting to rewatch these movies.
Of
Um,
course.
just because I think they're some of the greatest action flicks out there, man. They really are. And I'm pumped. Tickets went on sale today.
I got mine.
You got yours. I need to figure out when I'm gonna go. I know they're doing a fan first, one of those fan first screenings. I think it's the Thursday before it comes out in IMAX. And so I'm thinking about trying to get to that one. I gotta see if I can sneak out of work first. If I can, that'd be clutch. Because I'm pumped to see this one, and it's going to be the longest of the franchise. Final Reckoning is going to be the longest of the franchise.
Which was 3 hours, but we're close. It's close.
Right.
2 hours and 49 minutes. That's good enough for me. I'll take it.
Right.
Are you going with your wife? Are you going with friends?
I don't know yet. If I do that 2:00, it might end up just being me. If I do the 2:00, because I don't know if she'll be able to get out of work early. But if I don't do that 2:00 fan first screening, I'll do a different time, and then she'll end up tagging along with me because actually maybe it depends on if she decides to watch the rest of these films with me, because she didn't see the second one, which is fine, but she sat in and out of the third one, and yeah, but we'll see.
Dope.
Isaiah, my guy, I appreciate you for coming on here and giving me your deep thoughts on MI3 and even giving us your thoughts on Sinners, the biggest movie of 2025 so far. Last thing, do you think Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is going to hit at the box office?
It's going to do well.
It'll do well. Okay.
Mission Impossible films have never been like biggest narratives of the year in years.
Sure. Yeah.
As far as box office projection goes, I gotta admit that's not my area of expertise. I only know enough to make conversation.
Sure.
I think it's going to hold its own well against Lilo and Stitch, because that's going to be the conversation.
Yeah.
As far as who's going to win the month of May, I believe. I think Lilo and Stitch most likely will win the month of May. I think that has potential to be $1 billion hit. As far as Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it's definitely going to do better than Dead Reckoning Part 1, because Dead Reckoning Part 1, it had so much going against it as far as like being released at the time, losing its IMAX screenings to Oppenheimer, and with all that jazz. With Barbenheimer, along with Sound and Freedom, it just had so much competition domestically speaking.
Yeah.
But as far as what we're looking at with Final Reckoning, I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to be a success. And that opening weekend, I'm just excited to see this movie. I'm excited to see the reactions. I'm watching this film. I've had the blessing of someone covering my ticket, because I'm gonna meet up with some guys for the first time in New York.
Let's go.
We're gonna go to the Lincoln Square Theater. Apparently, it's one of the biggest IMAX screenings in like the nation. It's a blessing, man. Like I'm grateful every day that I'm still here to watch these movies. Life is pretty hard, but it's what we do here that kind of reminds us like to keep going.
Yep. There you go, bro. That's a good note to end on. That is a great note to end on. I love it. Thanks for listening to the Real Table Podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Like, subscribe, share this podcast. Stay tuned for more Mission Impossible rewatch. Thunderbolt's out this weekend. I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I'm going Thursday at 9. I'm excited to see what Marvel got cooking. I'm excited. Isaiah, thank you for getting on, bro. I appreciate it.
I got you.
All right. And I will see y'all real soon. Y'all be safe out there. Peace. Once again, thank y'all so much for joining me today on the Real Table Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and even comment. I want to hear your thoughts and I want to hear your opinions. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Real Table Pod and on Twitter at The Real Table. And don't forget to also check me out on therealtable.com for news, articles, and reviews. I will see y'all soon. Peace.